We just hiked through Aradena Gorge in Crete. It was incredible, so come to Crete, hike this trail, you won't regret it.
Deep in the white mountains of southwest Crete, the earth cracks open into a chasm littered with the bones of goats and flanked by soaring cliffs. This is Aradena Gorge, wild, rugged, and for us, the most unforgettable hike on Crete. Before we dive into the hike, it helps to know that there are 4 main ways to tackle the trail, depending on how far you want to go and how much adventure you're up for. Option 1. Start with a taxi or bus from Chora, Sfakion, also called Sfakia locally, to Aradena village. From there, descend the gorge to Marmara Beach. When you reach the sea, catch a water taxi back to Sfakia. If you're hiking in the off-season, be sure to arrange the water taxi ahead of time. Option 2. Take the same start to Aradena village, hike down the gorge to Marmara Beach, then continue along the rugged coastal path to the stunning whitewashed village of Lutro. From Lutro, either hop on a water taxi or ferry back to Chora, Sfakion, or consider spending the night in this charming seaside village. Option 3. This is what we did. Take a taxi or bus to Aradena village and hike down to Marmara Beach, then follow the coastal trail to Lutro. After a well-earned break in the village, push on to Sweetwater Beach and continue all the way to Sfakia. This is a long, very, very challenging hike. Only attempt it in mild weather. And finally, option 4, drive to Aradena village and hike to Marmara Beach as an out-and-back hike. We don't recommend it though. By the time you reach the beach, the last thing you'll want to do is climb back up the gorge. Trust us. So let's get back to the trail. The taxi or bus will drop you off in Aradena village, just beyond the Aradena Bridge that spans the width of the gorge. Following various waymarks and signs, the trail meanders between ruins and olive groves. Once a thriving settlement from Hellenistic to Venetian times, Aradena was destroyed in the 18th century during Crete's fierce resistance against the Ottomans. Later rebuilt, it emptied again after a deadly blood feud, sparked, of all things, by a fight over a dead goat's bell. When you reach the rim of the gorge, pass through the gate and descend the switchbacks to the gorge floor. Long before the Aradena Bridge was built, this cobbled mule path served as the main connection between Aradena and Annapolis.
We're in the bed of Aradena Gorge. We made it. The taxi drop-off worked out perfectly. We're the only ones here, which is really wonderful, but also a bit eerie. So, feeling very brave right now.
For 2.5 hours, the rugged trail descends the gorge in a series of stages, alternating between flat stretches and steeper sections characterized by large boulders. The trail begins along a flat stretch of the narrow gorge, where the towering cliffs on either side pull your gaze skyward. The austerity of the sheer cliffs is lessened by the dangling foliage and the melodic birdsong. Soon the gorge trail divides. The scenic right path, secured with chains and flanked by a timber railing, climbs up the gorge wall. Given the heavy waymarking, it's clear that authorities responsible for trail maintenance want hikers to take this ascending path. The left path traces the gorge bed and ultimately descends the famous ladders.
If you wanted to do the ladders, you'd have had to go left. And honestly, we didn't see the trail. But once we descended to the gorge bed and then kind of hiked back up, they're obvious. So I think they want you to only ascend the ladders.
As you near the gorge bed, the well-maintained stone path disintegrates into scree and loose rock. Take extra care because it's very, very slippery. The descent continues in steps, weaving between boulders at times. Though these areas require attentiveness, none of them are particularly tricky. The trail to Agios Eleftherios, a church along the way to Livaniana, branches off on the left side. Ignore that path and stay in the gorge, following the blue arrows. More boulders await. Increasingly verdant with pine and oleander, the gorge widens significantly. Later, the gorge narrows again. The sheer rock walls call to mind the dramatic limestone islands of Halong Bay. Well, at least for us. The steep boulder sections are spectacular. Just keep an eye on the white-red waymarks to stay on track. Eventually, the trail eases as you near the sea. Marmara Beach is a welcome sight. If it's open, definitely savor lunch at the beach taverna. For many, Marmara Beach marks the end of this glorious trail. For others, the trail continues. You can read all about this trail in detail on our blog, moonhoneytravel.com. See the description for the link, or simply Google Moon and Honey Travel Aradena Gorge. Like I said earlier, we extended our hike east all the way back to Sfakia by following the coastal trail. It was magnificent, but quite honestly, it was more difficult than we anticipated. From Marmara Beach, the E4 trail is initially quite easy, but soon develops into a rugged path across a jagged cliff top. It drops down the cliff to Lycos Beach, finishing with a descent over uneven, rocky steps. A portion of the carved staircase collapsed, making the descent a bit of an exposed scrambled. From here, the E4 crosses the beach towards the seaside hamlet of Lycos. After passing a few apartments and tavernas, the path climbs the stairs at Nico's Small Paradise Taverna to pick up the E4 trail again. Leaving the coast behind, the Lutro-bound trail heads inland to Finicus and across the headland towards the coolest fortress ruins of Lutro. Beyond the fortress, the trail descends to the whitewashed seaside village of Lutro, only accessible by foot or by boat. If you want to call it a day, you can enjoy the village and then hop on a water taxi back to Sfakia. If, however, you continue, you're in for a treat. The E4 climbs out of the village and then leads east, hugging the coast. After about 20 minutes from Lutro, the path breaks off suddenly due to a landslide. This requires extra care and careful maneuvering down an exposed step. It's very likely that this will be repaired before your visit. The trail continues across a pebbly beach, backed by an eroding cliff, to another beach, and then gently rises, passing a white chapel along the way. Soon you'll reach a viewpoint overlooking Sweetwater Beach, named for the freshwater springs that run beneath it. We certainly haven't seen every beach on Crete, but I struggle to imagine one more stunning than this. The trail angles down to the beach and then crosses it. At the other end, the path continues across a rugged and eroded rockscape where the cliffs meet the sea. As you meander between boulders and across loose rock, pay attention to the sporadic black-yellow waymarks. This path is rough, so please go slowly. One short stretch of this rugged trail is secured with a fixed cable. A striking ledge path carved into the cliff safely wraps around the cliffside. This secured path presents no difficulty as it's sufficiently wide. After, the trail scales a rocky slope. A well-built path angles up the cliffs to the paved road, which connects Aradena with Sfakia. Back on level ground, finally, follow the road for 40 or 50 minutes all the way back to Sfakia. If you love discovering lesser-known hiking trails across Europe, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment.